With the beginning of the Trump administration, a new fear has come along of people losing their green cards when they're trying to enter the United States after short travel. I'm definitely getting daily emails and text messages and letters about this. It's scaring a lot of people. First things first is this will not be a problem for almost 99.9% of the people traveling. They shouldn't be afraid. The news has a lot of information of people having these kind of problems, but when you usually read the fine print at the beginning of the article, there's a reason for it. Now, they do make mistakes and it's very scary, but again, for the vast majority of people, I don't like the scaremonger and cause people to have fear to do something like that. It's not going to apply to them, although it's disheartening and sad that these kind of issues exist. And correlated to that is they've always hassled people in most of the ways I'm going to talk about at the airport. It's just that it wouldn't be reported on, so people weren't aware. Now it's getting reported on, obviously, because of how the circumstances are, so people are hearing about it more. So let's back up. When someone's a green card holder, they can obviously enter the United States unless they have certain issues. And even then they could enter, but problems happen. So the situations we're seeing where people have problems at entry is when they have one criminal history of some type in the history of their life, and it depends on what level of criminal history it is. If it's a bad one, that's certain felonies or certain misdemeanors that are very high, that could cause them at entry to be stopped and attempted to have the green card taken away, which they can't automatically take it away. There's a form I-407 that you have to complete to voluntarily give away your green card, which is you don't have to sign it. You could say, I'm going to talk to an immigration judge, and the officer will maybe take away your physical green card and allow you to go in, parole you into some form or fashion, and let you in. But they can't really just take away your green card. Even if you've been absent for more than a year and there's a assumption of abandonment, you can still say, I need to talk to an immigration judge and take my case there, and the judge could do it. So who knows if the judge is going to approve it or not, but as a green card holder, you always have that right. Now, they can't detain you and keep you there for certain periods of time, which is very uncomfortable. They can check your phone in certain ways. They're supposed to put it on the cloud mode so that, or airline mode, so that they can't connect to the cloud, and whatever's in the phone, they could check. It's kind of like baggage. If you have a bag with stuff in it, they could open the zipper up and look in there, but they can't access stuff outside of there. So that's the issue that pops up. Now, another thing that's important that people ask is, could I have a lawyer on hand to help me? This is a very difficult thing to do because the airport and ports of entry are considered national security zones. You don't really have a right to an attorney unless criminal charges are being brought upon you and you have a criminal attorney. It's almost impossible for an immigration attorney to help you in those cases. The exceptions are this. One is if I already have a client and I know the history, and I have on record ability to contact government on their behalf, a Form G-28 sign, maybe I could do some attempts. And if the government's nice enough, CBP, the Customs Border Protection, they may listen to me. Or if it's an airport, especially a local one that I deal with on a regular basis, just because of camaraderie of knowing them, talking with them over the years, they may give some benefit of the doubt to communicate with me about parts of it or accept some information to help clarify the situation that's happening to the client. Many times when someone is worried about coming back on certain issues, we ahead of time contact the Customs and Border Protection at the airport and let them know this person is coming here with these kind of issues. So they're aware of it. So they at least have the documentation necessary that we send in records of things. So they know what's happening beforehand. It kind of smooths the situation in so they're not caught off guard. So these kind of issues do pop up. Again, the amount of representation is difficult to do, but the ability to take the green card away is very hard or almost impossible unless you do it on your own. Now, there was one situation where a person had a green card, a 2-year green card, and they have filed to make it extended to 10-year green card. 2-year green cards are for people who got married and got their green card, but the marriage is new. So the government gives a 2-year green card so they can double check after 2 years to see if the relationship was real and have more documentation and the like. This person failed that extension update and was sent to immigration court, and the immigration court is pending. And there they traveled and try to come back in, and you, as CBP, update their policy and say, yeah, if you're in immigration court and you travel, whether you had a green card or not, we're not going to let you in. And this person was not permitted to enter the United States. So that's a unique situation. They had an immigration court. You should never travel outside the United States. If you have a removal hearing, potentially you could be challenged to say, hey, that's not fair. They don't still have a green card residency until a judge takes it away. There's all sorts of stuff you could do, but then you got to hire a bunch of lawyers and do appeals and this and that. I would just not travel ahead of time. So that's some information. If you have a situation that's risky like that, or if you have certain arrests or criminal history, you just don't want to travel because it could be problematic. So I want to give you an overview here of the scenarios where people have problems. Another one, the last one I'll talk about, is for people that have extended absences, which kind of mentioned earlier. If you have more than a year, they could hassle you. But many times I see them just let people in. That might get more strict as we go along. Also is a scenario where you might have less than a year out, but between 6 and 12 months. In those kind of scenarios, they can rejudge you at entry for certain things. And so you got to be careful if you have those absences, and you might have certain inadmissibility, it's called INA 212 issues. there's a lot of legalese I get into on that, but that's where they just give you a whole new look over to see if something's wrong. But typically, again, they're too busy to do stuff like that. So it doesn't become a problem for most people. I guess one more final note I would say it just recently popped up is for people that got asylum and then got green cards, or green cards based on being a refugee asylum in the past, saying you can't go to your home country, you can't use the securities of your home country. And part of the requirements for the U.S. is that now that you're asylee in the United States, and even if you get a green card, you're not supposed to use your home country passport or the protections of your home country because you said you're trying to get away from them. Historically, for all my career in the last 40 years, almost never would they bother people who had green cards and visit their home country after getting asylum. But recently, I've been getting some reports here and there that CBP has been cracking down on that. That may be a policy shift that they don't want people doing that after getting the green card, going to the home country that they said they're afraid of returning to. So in those kind of scenarios, I've always advised people that the law is, even though it wasn't practically, used and the government didn't enforce it. But that's something you got to stick with the law, and that's the protections you got to protect yourself with is not do stuff you're not supposed to do, especially as an asylee. So that was a quick overview of the issues we're seeing right now at the airports. People have all sorts of problems, criminal history, drug issue history, and the like. And those are things that can be problematic no matter whatever the administration is. So you always, if you have criminal history, you want to talk with the attorney to see if these are inadmissible level things. If you're a green card holder, if you're a visa, non-immigrant visa holder, there's more troubles, even if you have lower level crimes. But you got to be mindful of these, and we got to go over your application too to see if in the past, if you had this criminal history, did you tell the government in your consular processing, your adjustment of status? If you didn't tell them, and then they find out later, that could cause your green card taken away eventually through court because of fraud or misrepresentation. As we're seeing with the technology upgrades, the government is getting more and more access to historical arrest data and citation data and criminal history court data. And so things that they wouldn't have caught in the past are being caught now. And this is becoming a problem for people that are citizens, green card holders too, where they'll have an arrest history in the system and they'll get a red flag that they have to go to secondary and talk with an officer. The officer, once they review it in 2 seconds, they'll say, okay, you're good, but they may have to wait 2-3 hours for an officer to get to them because there's a line. But those things pop up. In those scenarios, if you think it's not a big deal, like the thing that was a problematic, it's not a big deal, but it keeps popping up in the system, you should look up DHS TRIP, TRIP on Google, DHS TRIP. Go to the government website to file a complaint about that. It may or may not work. It may work for a year and then go back to bothering you again, but that's pretty much the only thing you could do to try to solve the situation is DHS TRIP. So I just want to do a quick video here. I didn't organize it too well. I just shouted a bunch of stuff that I wanted you to hear. Hopefully we put some timestamps here so people could jump to the area that they want. But thanks so much for listening. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. If you want to have a consultation with my office, jqqlaw.com/contact is a place to go. Fill in your name and information there so we get back with you. Again, it's jqqlaw.com/contact. And I wish you all the best in your travels. Safe travels, everybody. Bye-bye.